Goal scorers for Fremantle, Ted Valentine, one coming after the siren, and Hill, and the solitary goal scorer, Kobe Stevens for the Western Bulldogs. Second time he's done that, first goal last week. Start of the second term. Minson taps it down, missed by Liberatore. Well done, Sandlands. Gathers the bouncing ball, feeds it wide. Here's Higgins, stumbled on the logo. As a result, hand passed into Sutcliffe. Liberatore arrives, tackled by Barlow. Higgins on the way down, went looking for Stevens. In comes Wallace, shovels it across to Bontempelli. He went a full rotation. Stevens got his fingertips to it. Barlow's hand pass charged down by Cramry, and we'll have a boundary throw. And just the attacking side of right centre wing for the Dogs. This has been the best duel so far. Minson and Sandlands. Sandlands with recovery. Crowley spirals it, if you don't mind. With loving care, it bounces out of bounds. Ryan Crowley. Not enough people to really put him to the sword this afternoon in Burton. There's Ross Lyon, unhappy with the roof being open. Earlier today, rain fell. And then the sprinklers came on at about 8:30. So a happy camper.
He'd like the scoreboard right now, though, wouldn't he, Jen?
Yep.
So the Dogs have just got to maintain their rage because they worked hard in that opening quarter. A lot of the numbers were in their favour, but not the most important one. So Fife saw him strapped up there with the ankle. Mundy working to get over it. Griffin worked hard for no reward. Hill, well played. Got on his bike and then got it to half forward. Barlow with that big backside, just keeping Higgins out. I mean that in the nicest possible way. Kicks to Main, couldn't quite. Valentine with a couple of first quarter goals. Dalhouse, Cooney, handballed the space. Now Liberatore on the wrong side for him. Too high. She's one-sided though, isn't he? I mean, he was desperate to get to the left.
We saw it that first centre bounce of this second quarter, though, how good his spread is. He actually got the ball out, and then he was one of the first Bulldog players to get out to centre wing.
So just a down-the-line kick.
Good mark by Stevens. Murphy calling for it, but that's quickly closed down, so he goes down the line. Bontempelli finding some space. Took it a little casually. He was hit hard from behind by Dawson, who takes no prisoners. And now a scramble. Tutt tackling from front on that time. A couple of Dockers go to ground. The man with the football is Spurs, so it'll be tossed up down towards right half forward.
That was the right time to go forward then, though. And when they had equal numbers down the field, the Bulldogs.
Bontempelli only as far as Barlow. This one close to the boundary, runs away from Pavlich and goes out of bounds. Now, when you're watching Bontempelli, Tim, I was watching a tape this week. He is the spitting image of Joe, or Joe brother, as he just wanders along behind the play, sort of at a job. Reminded me, it's like watching Joe Watson.
Similar game.
Well, it's got a good future then. Sanders, Mundy, and then Hill down the line. And Morris trying to get it out. Pavlich did really well. Subin down low. Pearce, clever play by the Dockers. Kick back to a dangerous spot, and Higgins wants the boundary line and gets it.
Not good enough, I guess, Bruce, just to look like them. It's not mime, is it?
No. But I agree with you. He's got that gait. He'll fill into that body too, but he's a rangy type, isn't he? He's going to be the new prototype in terms of the midfielder.
Sandlands again, tapped it down. Howard, Liberatore on one knee. Stevens under pressure. Close to the boundary line, it bounces out. Tom Liberatore is having a terrific season, coming off a terrific season. Averaging 24 possessions. There he is with Ryan Crowley. 24 possessions for Liberatore this season. 14 Brownlow votes last season. Equal top of the Bulldogs with Griffin. Here's Neil behind the pack. Asking something of the forwards with that kick. Back goes Wood under pressure. Getting an arm in there was Pearce. Still he goes though. Wood well played. Howard, a left footer. Gave it to Peckin. And now Wallace.
Jermaine works hard there. Wallace's kick gets to Murphy. Murphy switches it to Higgins. Now Higgins with some time. Don't say that against the Dockers too often. That is a great kick. Tucks on his bike. He's away. Now this is the important kick. Well, not to anyone's real advantage. So he creates a contest at Cramry. Stevens tries to give it off. McFarlane almost getting it out. Cramry. Sutcliffe. Cramry back. Stevens back. Tuck left foot. to about 30 metres. Mark taken by Butler. Mark, just a quickie on the Griffin-Crowley matchup.
Yeah, really interesting matchup. Griffin's only had the 2 possessions and Crowley's had the 7. And the work that Crowley is doing off the ball, legitimately to stop him from getting near it, is great to watch.
Sounds surprised, Mark, as the ball goes up towards the wing. Pavlich outmanoeuvred by Morris, who gets a fist on it and thumps it across the boundary line. Dale Morris, there's the pair that Mark was talking about, Crowley and Griffin. He wouldn't look out of place in a Woody Allen movie, I don't think. Ryan Crowley. There's something about him that captures the imagination. There goes a hand pass from Liberatore. Speaking of capturing the imagination, Cooney does nicely back to Murphy on the burst. Telling kick inside the forward 50. Reaching over the top, McFarlane. Sutcliffe fell over. Now he's got a problem. Halfway to his feet, he's tackled and taken down again. And the umpire, only metres away, decides to ball it up.
Well called, Tim. Sutcliffe got himself into a difficult position by the form, but got out of it. Minson trying to barge his way through. Only as far as Spur. Spur back to Dawson. Dawson's the one to Duffield. They've worked it well to Johnson. And then Johnson with some time to have a bounce. Test the sprinklers for Ross. And then off a step to centre wing. Sandilands, big target, almost the mark. Pavlich. Subin. Well, saw a fair bit of Subin there, didn't we? Sandilands, Ballantyne pushed out underneath it. And now with Murphy to do something constructive.
Generally does. Well, that's very short. Barely the 15. Wood's got it. Wood needs a bit of luck with injury. Comes across to Murphy. Murphy spreads things. Robat takes the mark.
And that's what Macca was saying in the first quarter about just changing the angle again. All the Fremantle defenders had set up on one side of the ground.
Robat takes something off the kick down towards the pocket. Williams up, got hands to it. It's spilled out. Now the ball goes across the boundary line. Well, it was an intelligent kick. It was kicked to the advantage of Williams. Williams annoyed with himself because he knows against this defence those chances come rarely. Robat put it in the perfect position, got up, hands to it, and it's out of bounds.
So the Dockers playing a lot of this match in their back 50, but they're pretty comfortable there. McRae gets it from Wallace out on the full. Just Tim and Joe. I mean, very few teams could be as comfortable in the back 50 as Fremantle seem to be. They just absorb so well, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They know they've got numbers back there and they've got protection, so they just work hard. They roll back, and the important contest is the one when they get it to half forward. They've just got to break even in that contest. They want to get a stoppage and then set up again.
Well, the Dogs had a little chance there, but they got some numbers around. Subin coming out. Beautiful kick to Pavlich.
Inside the centre square. Clark is the man. Clark is the man. He can run onto this one inside the 50. Minson struggling to go with him. Well, Clark. Nimble. Snaps. Misses everything. Anticlimactic. Out of bounds at the opposite pocket.
He talked about the Woody Allen film. He looks like a mod squad extra, doesn't he?
He does. Once the big fellas start finessing, though, even if it's Minnow chasing you, suddenly, you know, it could end badly. Boundary throw-in. Zach trying to make something not too much.
Sandilands clever knocked back. Sure. And clever by Mundy. Newell. Main. And on his own. How does that happen? Super.
How does that happen? That aerial domination of Sandilands is decisive, isn't it?
Yeah, and I agree with Dennis. I mean, Minson's up today. I mean, Minson's really dug in today, but he's a giant, of course, the big guy.
That happened because Higgins was actually the spare man. He got sucked into the contest, came off, and then obviously just popped over. So he got hurt by just watching the ball and moving into the contest.
Had an interesting career, Subin, hasn't he? I mean, he's had some down times, a bit of injury where he's almost been out of favour a couple of times, but he's a regular again now. Normally good kick, not a massive goal kicker, but that's sweet. And the Dockers are getting full value for inside 50s today.
Now, he started that across half back, if I remember correctly, with a short pass coming out. I mean, they've got some very good foot skills, Fremantle.
Yeah, hit Pavlich lace out, didn't he?
That's right. And then suddenly bobs up and kicks a goal 15 metres out. Just imagine Brendan working with that whiteboard. Names would be going everywhere. Who's on him?
So that intelligent tap there. The first tap from Sandlands, the second tap from Mundy. And then just way too much space there for Subban.
Inside 50s, 21-12, Dogs way. On the scoreboard that counts, 32-10, Fremantle's way. Inside the forward 50, again the Dogs. Duffield, though, ample time. McFarlane cruising past his Sutcliffe. Swings it out wide. Running hard is Subban. That was almost a very good gather. Deserved a bit of luck. Inadvertently puts it across the boundary.
Sorry, Dennis, their bodywork, Joey, around the contest, the Fremantle players, they did that push. The defenders always trying to push their direct opponent exactly where they want them and just get them off guard.
He did say he thinks they're the sleeper, Fremantle, with the draw. They look to be in good position. There's no question about that. Here's Dalhouse under pressure. Coming away, slick hand pass from Wood to Higgins. Pickett, now he's a left footer. He's a long kick as well. Howard, well, we'll never know. It ricochets across to Stevens. Dalhouse just kicks it straight up in the air. Bontempelli locks it towards the boundary line. Now it's Mzungu back to the goal square.
Gets it to Sutcliffe. And then Sutcliffe, rangy kick to Mania. Now Pavlich is on, I think. Clark to Pavlich. It was Pavlich to Clark a moment ago. Now let's see if Pavlich can finish it. He's in the pocket. Clever looking kick. Yeah, well played.
Gee, that's a smart play for his way through there, wasn't it?
Well, he found Valentine at the end of the first quarter. Valentine had to earn that mark, but that one there, thank you. Smart stuff. So he's coming up for a third goal here, Valentine.
And that play started all the way down at the other end of the ground in their back pocket. I mean, their ability to run and then spread and then find that space over the back.
Well, I think it was either Joey or Mark McVeigh said they're out. I could hear it in the background, and they were out all right. So twice this year he's kicked 3 goals in a match, including at his last start. So a chance to kick 3 goals in the opening half here. And he does. They've all been basically from the goal square, haven't they? One of the things, Joey, that I find interesting is for you watching this, having been with Ross Lyon for so long, you must see a lot of similarities in the way they're playing as the St Kilda played 6 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. As we've spoken about, it starts from the back half, getting numbers back. And the important contest is the one in the centre half back. That kick outside 50, if you can break even that contest to get the ball out of bounds, you take that. But if you win that contest, you've got an open forward line, which Fremantle have done 4 or 5 times today.
Have a look at Pav here. He's had 8 possessions this afternoon. He's going at 100% at the moment, and just such an intelligent kick to that space. To Valentine.
It's just clinical, isn't it, at the moment?
Absolutely.
Valentine coming in, just 2 goals in 4 games against the Dogs. He'll have 3 at half-time at least. Here's Fife, who's been, by his lofty standards, pretty quiet. Barlow, well done, Wallace, kept coming. And the umpire will ball it up, I'm sure, alongside the centre circles.
And Dennis, you mentioned clinical, and that's Fremantle's 7th score assist. The Bulldogs only had 2. They need to start lowering their eyes again and not just rushing and panicking.
Well done coming through there. Bontempelli knocked it a couple of times. Again, that defence stands tall. Mzungu. The Bulldogs kicking under pressure, and generally it comes to the Dockers. Now on the outer side, Duffield told to go. Dalhouse stayed off him, mindful of a 50. Sutcliffe sends it wide. Barlow, Crowley, just along the boundary line, cutting the angle as Spurt plays on. That was ambitious. Pushed as he kicked. I think he took it across the boundary line before he got his boot to the footy.
If somebody was to say to you at this stage of the second quarter that the inside 50s were 24-13, you might think that the scores were reversed.
Yeah, no, it's a weird one, isn't it?
Absolutely. The way that they're defending, though, it's almost like they're happier for the ball to be deep in their own defensive part of the ground before they attack.
Chinese water torture too, mate. They're in a good spot, though, on the board, aren't they? I mean, the Dogs' effort terrific. Work rate fine, we know that, but just no real poise up forward. Now, Cranberry kicks to her. Well, a one-on-one. Dawson probably could have marked it, but he kicked it. He belted it away probably as far as he would have kicked it. Back to McRae. Back to Wallace. Back to McRae. Smothered. Gee, they've been smothering a lot today as well. Fife stood up. Back to Dawson, back to Duffield. Duffield doesn't really get it. Might have kicked that one out on the full, and he did. So a chance for the Dogs. They need a goal. I think it might have been Griffin's first kick there.
It was to Higgins, to Cramry. Long ball down towards full forward. Battle of strength in from the side. Main. Look at that. Posted away. Mzungu just occupying the net on the ground, and that third player up doing very nicely.
Well, there's their forward. There's one of their forwards actually coming all the way up the other end of the ground to become that third man in defence. So they are really hard to break down, Fremantle.
Fife just had his first touch for the quarter, and he's seriously limping out here. Still getting each contest, but limping heavily.
Well, Sandlands fell over. Slapped out of there by Bontempelli, taken by Tutt. Now, he's not a bad kick at goal. Sends it long to the square, deep in the square. Raises the knuckles of at least one Docker defender and goes against the post. Just watching young Joel McRae. We like him a lot. Silky skills, but a lot of his kicks get smothered off the boot. He's got that low trajectory, and now Mundy's got a problem. Sneaking up behind Cramry, forced the error. Stevens hasn't got the footy, doesn't matter. Picken picks it up. Rovat to Higgins.
And Higgins, well, Ballantyne's tripped him there.
I mean, Wallace should have got his body between Ballantyne and Higgins then too.
She's a good handle by Rovat a moment ago. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant.
He does intelligent things, Rovat.
So Higgins, good kick. Now Minson, can he go? Has he got the length here? I think he might have the length. They just need a goal because they've, well, we've talked about their numbers. I mean, they've had so much of the ball, so much of the. Well, here's the trip from Ballantyne.
It used to be a 50-metre penalty.
And is that? Do you think it was a deliberate trip?
Oh, absolutely.
But he's hit it well, Minson. Just missing.
But you look at the numbers, and they're inside 50s, 29-13. They're winning the clearances. They're up on contested possession. There's not a lot. McCartney would be thinking in the coach's box about changing positions. It's all about their methodology.
That's reckon the penalty wasn't big enough there for Ballantyne for what he did. That's just wrong, I reckon.
I think you're right. Kick comes up towards the wing from Johnson. Fife arrived quickly in the grasp, got it off. This is Sheridan. Barlow is on for the short one. He's got it, lurking alongside his hill. He's already booted a couple, but a fumble did him in initially. Now he settles. Dangerous kick. Pavlich is the target. Up he goes. Well played by Wood. Ballantyne is booted 3. Goes to ground a little too easily. Well done, McRae. Bontempelli. Rovat. There's the future. All 4 of them. McRae. Now, man bearing down, under pressure. McRae's kick's gone out of bounds. No, it hasn't, but it's going to be a reload free kick. So they win the ball down the ground. Taken by Stevens. Spots a leading man coming at him, Cramry. Knocked away by Duffield. Mzungu upended. Rovat goes in. Tackled by Sheridan. About 55 metres out. And the umpire demands the footy.
Joe, that's a really tough kick, that one to Cramry on a hard lead like that. There's a free kick again.
That's dangerous.
It used to be a 50-metre penalty.
Was it ever a reportable offence?
It was, yeah.
A deliberate trip?
Yep.
Well, he certainly didn't get reward, Higgins, for what he deserved there. And that was stiff, the Dogs. McRae keeps it low. No mark, almost. Boundary throw in.
You talk about that tough kick, Tim, there at the top of the 50. He had to do that because he had Sanderlands, he had McFarlane all by themselves, sitting in the goal square, covering the long bomb to the square.
So 9 scoring shots to 8. I mean, I made that 8 to 8, sorry. So dead set level in terms of the scoring shots, even better for the Bulldogs. But you can see this match getting away from them. They need the next goal and then maybe one after that. I mean, everywhere but the scoreboard, they've been competitive.
Gotcha. Coaches deal in alternative scoreboards these days too. It'll be hard to explain at half-time. We're leading on about 10 of them, but we're down by quite a margin, and Cooney misses another chance. There's alternative scoreboards. Had a coach yesterday just watching a game on telly, and he was talking about the fact that they won in so many of the key indicators. Well, it matters not, because the key indicator is 6-2 to 1-8 in this game. Here's Barlow. I think the key for coaches is things will take care of themselves if you win those key indicators. Fremantle, different kettle of fish. Here's Johnson. They're quite radical. Like St Kilda before them as this ball bounces down towards half forward. Going back is Ward. He's in trouble now, but prepared to be slung across the line.
But half those points become goals, and it's 5-6. So they haven't taken their chances. The Bulldogs, the times they've actually had a set shot, they haven't been able to nail them.
And at the other end, Valentine's kicked 3 goals from the goal square, so Fremantle have been able to establish and create some easy goals in the end. It's their way. It's why they're so good. Liberatore and Pearce. Pearce back turning. Wallace. Dalhouse brought down. Subin. Neil. Terrific opening turn. Pearce gets the ball forward to Clark. Now Roughhead. Well tackled. Murphy did well. Just sort of laid it off to Dalhouse. High kick. Duffield well played. Johnson. Sutcliffe. To Neil. And then Neil doesn't really strike it. Main onto it though. He'll give it off to Pearce. Pearce can kick a goal here. Hooking it back. And too far and behind. Just a quick one on Main. Love what he's... This time last year he kicked 18. 17 the year before. He's kicked 4 goals. Does he need to hit the scoreboard, or does he do enough without hitting the scoreboard?
Well, he's one of those guys who just puts enough pressure on. I think he's going to always be in the side because of that.
Higgins found Morris. Kick goes towards half forward. Courage from Johnson and Dalhouse. Dalhouse coming back with a flight of it, crumbed by Neil. Slow hand pass. As a result, Hill under pressure. Hill does well though. Look at the acceleration out of that pack. Pavlich on the move. Oh, and that's like local knowledge. Pavlich watching Hill. Obviously had seen that before. Hill got out of there in double quick time. Watch this again, from nothing and suddenly at full pace. And Pavlich was moving before he kicked the footy.
Tim, you can see why teams elect to tag Stephen Hill, don't you, when you play off. Today he's been let loose and he's damaging with his being able to run and ability and hit the scoreboard.
I wonder whether Pickett might go on to him at some stage this afternoon, and there was the mismatch there too. Higgins against Pavlich.
So Pavlich kicking from about 35 metres out. Looking for his first. This kick is not a bad one. It's a beauty. Game number 301.
That's the choice, isn't it, as a coach? Do you decide to sit on somebody further up the ground, or do you wait until the ball gets there? At the moment, they decided to go with Pickett on Ballantyne. Last week, Pickett went to Ablett in the game against the Gold Coast Suns, and maybe that's something that Brendan McCartney's considering right now. Maybe we need to put somebody on the Hill and actually stop that run away from the stoppages, because he's become such a damaging player in this first half.
Just cuts the line, doesn't he?
Exploded out there.
Brilliant kick, and as Dennis said, Pavlich has probably done that at training with him a few times and got the mismatch with Higgins. So Pavlich with a goal, and Fremantle really putting some space between themselves and the Dogs. Oh, gee, impressive. Neil. Hill again. And coming wide. Gee, you can pick a player, Joey, with Lachie Newell. So Pearce, just a little too tall that time for Pavlich. Stevens back. Higgins. And then Higgins, this is going to be, Williams will be okay. Which is a great article on Williams, wasn't it, on Friday? Just all the injuries and operations. He's a tough fella to be out there in a mental, emotional sense, so we wish him well. Higgins looking for Cramry. There's across to Cooney. Unorthodox but effective. Now he's got a problem. Cooney steps across the boundary line under pressure.
He was just too slow then, wasn't he, Tim? Tom Williams. He needed to get that ball moving. They had 3-on-3 up ahead. He took a bit too long and they weren't able to go inside 50.
You just got to keep going against Fremantle and try and break them down, even though you're going to make some mistakes from time to time.
Minson to Liberatore to half forward. Pitch is about 60 metres out from goal. Now, Spur, Barlow. Back into the path of Bazungu. Got a nice bounce too. Finds his way through. Long kick. Pavlich the target once more. Could have almost got a free kick there. Spilt the mark. Gathered by Subin. Hand passes Goldwood. Coming up Liberatore. Under pressure. And there wasn't a lot of it. He sensed more pressure than there was. Pavlich went to ground. Bazungu takes it out of bounds. And that's the other thing. If it's constant pressure, the times you're not under pressure, it's almost inferred. You feel it anyway. Fremantle have been relentless this afternoon.
You know it's coming then, don't you?
You think it's coming? Yeah.
Yeah. So the Dockers have kicked 7 of the 8 goals in this match. And that's high on Wallace against Crowley. But what a first half Crowley's played here on Griffin. He's rarely seen the footy.
He hasn't had a kick, Bruce, at all, Griffin. First time in a long time they would have a kick before half-time.
So Morris. So that's a challenge, I guess, for Brendan McCartney at half-time with Griffin. Now a chance out. Can Williams move it a bit more quickly this time? Looking back. Well, so slow. That's a terrible kick by Williams. Neil, back to Mzungu. Mzungu cut through so cleverly. Sheridan, Pearce now on the way. Pavlich, lovely looking kick. Well done, though. Ruffhead had the speed and belted the ball over the line.
Well, they stubbed him at the other end of the ground, Ruffhead, but they've always liked him as a defender. They believe that he can develop into a really good defender. And that's one of the reasons why he's actually got good closing speed for a big fella.
Margin 31 points then. Not insurmountable, but it's just been a clinic. Such a low-scoring game, unusual in itself. Taken high as Neil, and immediately Main stops. There's a problem the Dogs had early too in this game, taking advantage where there wasn't any. Now Clark, virtually on the 50, just lays it off. Duffield's a long kick, goes for goal, and I think he's got it. Never in doubt.
It's one of the things, Dennis, you mentioned about the fact that Maine stopped when they had the advantage. I mean, they're all the little things, aren't they? A coach like Ross Lyon, he always tunes into those really little things that make a difference out there. And
minutiae.
Yep. And the detail of the game was exactly the right thing to do at that moment, and that's exactly what the Fremantle player did.
So he's going to know the roof is open. You're not going to get that past him, Tim.
No, you're right.
This morning.
Yeah, just that fine detail with Ross Lyon. So half-time and coming soon. So 51-14. I'd hate to put Ross's garbage out. I reckon he'd be really meticulous, don't you? You'd have to get it just right.
It'd be alphabetical in the bag, I reckon.
I mean, but he's such a great coach. I mean, Lee Montaigne's with us, Joey. I mean, you went to 3 grand finals under him. You know, he's better than all of us.
And you can see him there. He's still thinking about what they're going to do in the second half and what he's going to say at half-time. He's always thinking, you're right, attention to detail. He loves it.
Pearce, does he keep in touch, Joey? I might ask you that in a moment. Pearce has kicked towards Pavlich. Couldn't quite. So the Dogs really up against it here. Howard, who came in for Boyd. Gee, they're missing those 38 disposals right now, Den, aren't they, Boyd?
Also, high one towards the wing. Cramry almost got it too. Bonampelli get it across towards a teammate there. McRae finished up with it. Now a chance for Bonampelli as he goes down towards full forward. That's going to be a free kick to Williams. Well, he was involved a couple of times, Bonampelli. Knocked it across to Dalhouse and then went and found it on the dash. Just a question with the clock stopped at 1 minute. Lee, we're getting a comparison here. At their best, the Fremantle do it as well as you did under Ross Lyon, St Kilda. I mean, when you watch them, do you think this is a bit of a work of art today?
It's hard to argue. I've seen some of Fremantle's games, and it is when their intensity is up as high as it is and their forward pressure. It was very similar to back 2009 and 10.
Very similar. It didn't cave in, Bruce.
I'm keen to know if he keeps in touch with Joey and the boys.
Oh, yeah, we touch base occasionally. Yeah, we still speak to Ross every now and then, but no, he's fully entrenched over in Fremantle and trying to get this side to another grand final. And as I said earlier, I certainly think they're right in the mix. Just their balance now, their midfield, they're big on ballers, and their outside run with Hill and Pearce and Mzungu, their solid defence. I certainly think they're right in the mix.
That was the Dogs' first goal from a set shot today, too. That's a good sign, though, isn't it? Yeah. Bonampelli, a young kid, Dennis called it correctly, got involved in the play and then followed up again on the outside. And I mean, it was a right kick. It was a smart kick to the right spot.
For sure. So a much needed goal, and I think a deserved goal. They've worked hard enough for a bit more, but there's a big difference in class just at the moment. Cooney out wide to Stevens. Great to have Joey with us today with the insight into the Ross Lyon methods here.
if they can just find a way of getting Griffin into this game, it's going to be really difficult because Crowley's been all over him, but it's just what they're missing at the moment, the Bulldogs. Another bloke that can break the lines and run the spread like he does.
Jim Murphy gave himself a bit of a task, and then that's a poor handball to Ruffhead. Well played, Ruffhead. He sold Main a dummy, and that's not easy. Maybe one late thrust here, Wood. They need a runner. McRae out wide. Howard needs to release. Doesn't. And the moment has passed, and he gets a corky for all of that. So, gee, that's stiff. So there he is. Everything but a premiership, eh? He's good enough, we know that. Gets a lot of grand finals. It's 20-51 at half-time.
Coming up at half-time on Sunday afternoon football, we head over to Adelaide Oval and check on the match between the Crows and the Suns and get an insight into a personal connection with the Fremantle Indigenous jumper.
This year we've got another element onto it. That's the flower, the hibiscus, which is the Sorry Day flower. That's very important because a lot of people don't know how many Aboriginal footballers have been affected by the stolen generation.